Mark Skaar on the Skaar Kaard on 103.7 The Fox, and I'm proud to welcome back Andrew Cylar and Brandon Neal from Rare Birds. Guys, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having us.
It's been a while. We were just talking off the air that it's been 3 years, so we're glad to have you back. And what's been going on? I guess the last time we spoke was the pandemic was full on.
That was interesting, and so we managed actually to keep working all through that. So we had to kind of reconfigure the way that we had our rehearsal studio and making sure that we were working on new songs and trying to do whatever we could. Yeah, but it's like, we're really happy to be out playing live shows and doing everything in the full again. Yeah, so
let's talk about these songs. I would imagine the lion's share of them were written during the pandemic. Would that be fair to assume?
We always try to work kind of ahead of the curve, so Brandon and I will come up with something, and then the whole band will kind of put the arrangements together, and then we actually go out and play them, like in our live shows before we record them. We're super happy to get the 9 new songs out that we have, but, we've also got some things in the can that we've been working on, and I don't know, Brandon, you can probably talk about how it wasn't really a down period. It was just kind of like everybody else was kind of like trying to stay creative during the lockdown.
Yeah, that certainly, even though we couldn't go out and play it all our favorite joints, we were still focused on writing quite a bit. So I think, on the new release, there's probably 5 or 6 on there that we wrote kind of through the pandemic as part of that, trying to stay creative, and then played out live for a year or so to, really kind of fine-tune everything. There's a whole bunch more songs that, we've written since then, too, because we like to always stay creating something new, pushing forward. And there's also on there, I believe, a few remastered tracks from our very first release. So it's also kind of cool to see those two kind of side by side and see how the sounds kind of straightened up and evolved a little bit.
Talking with Andrew Cylar and Brandon Neal from Rare Birds. Let's talk about Lying to Yourself, and let's talk to Brandon because this is a lyric video. Tell me about the song.
Yeah, Lying to Yourself. So that's a pretty cool little track. Andrew and I will get together, and he'll have some riffs or some ideas, or maybe even a song kind of mapped out a little bit, and kind of being written in the pandemic, it felt good to write something, that maybe had a little bit more energy, and then kind of with that energy and that kind of time of uncertainty and dealing with just a lot of complexities both in the world, and then, kind of having to sit with them at home, kind of gave an opportunity to, I feel like, mix up kind of a energetic, kind of bouncy little number with some real emotion and kind of real frustration with everything going on around you. And I think that kind of makes for a pretty impactful little sound.
I think, guys, there were a couple things that trickled out from the record before the record was released, and I think one of those was the opening track, Thistle Down. Please speak to that one.
That's a really interesting one because Thistle Down is actually, it's a horse racing track in Ohio. And I used to ride the bus going to work after school, and you'd be on that bus, and you'd kind of, you'd see like a range of emotions. You'd see all these people kind of either excited about, the horse that they were going to bet on, or, some people kind of maybe having a little look of desperation in their face going to the horse track. And I told that story to Brandon, and the cool thing about it is Brandon's super creative. Sometimes I can tell him either just give him a title, or I can say, I can just tell some weird story about something or this, and he'll pick it up and go in a completely different way with it. And so I think the lyrics to Thistle Down are they're great. It's really kind of cool how he was able to kind of just take that one little story, that one little title, and kind of create this whole story of his own.
Brandon, I assume you're responsible for something called Dolly Parton?
I'm probably responsible for the name, yeah. Being from East Tennessee and, up around that area, she was a hero. And I think, Andrew and I were talking about her at one point, where she wrote, was it I Will Always Love You and Jolene, was that it, on the same day?
Yeah, yep. Same day.
Just kind of like, man, what's wrong with us? It takes us months to write a song.
Yeah.
Well, we're not Dolly Parton. So even though, the song itself, I suppose, doesn't really necessarily reflect Dolly Parton, I suppose maybe that's an attempt to conjure her ability, maybe.
Andrew Cylar and Brandon Neal from Rare Birds, my guest. Another interesting title is Got Me Fiending.
Brandon, go ahead on that one.
Okay. That was a song we put together kind of fairly early, I think, in our tenure together, and it kind of sat on the shelf for a little bit, and we finally got it put together, I think, for this album and got it all trimmed up. But that song was definitely written in a, I suppose, melodramatic phase of life traveling on the road a lot, having some relationships kind of fall through and just adjusting to a new phase of life. And I suppose that you can really kind of hear some of that angst in there, but I also really like, kind of what Andrew did on that opening riff, the kind of power punch riff that he throws in there that I feel really kind of drives that whole sense of kind of longing or mourning, or I don't know what it is. So the way he bends it and holds that vibrato, it's kind of perfect to jump off of writing a song.
And then I want to talk about Nocturnal Woman of Action, another interesting title. See, these are good talking points because you make people curious.
Yeah, so that one is one of my favorites, and every time we always talk about that song. I mean, that song would make a great T-shirt.
I think so. There's a lot of curiosity there. It's what word am I trying to think of? It's a conversation piece. That's what it is.
Yeah, Brandon, do you want to tell them anything about the lyrics?
The lyrics in that one were kind of, really, it's about kind of chasing down a specific, either kind of a woman or just like a certain lifestyle or experience, maybe we kind of all dabbled with a little bit early on in life. Staying up late, pushing things a little far. And so that originally wasn't what I had thought to be the name of the song because, it's not really in the chorus, it's more in the verse. And then kind of one of the first few times Andrew and I were working on it, he heard that line and he was like, nope, I like that one. Put it on a sticker, make it the title. And I think it, it really works kind of summing up that whole pursuit, I suppose.
Talking to Andrew Cylar and Brandon Neal from Rare Birds. How has the reaction from the record been, guys?
So far, to say pleasantly surprised. You always kind of have these songs kind of rattling around, and you kind of get used to them in your own way, and, you play them in live and shows, but, once you actually release them, you kind of get a whole different reaction, and it's been really, really, like a really pleasant surprise, and I guess in some ways, just how much response we've gotten. We're getting airplay and people kind of chattering and contacting us and saying really positive things to us from both sides of the pond. We're getting, even to like today, we're getting, spins over in the UK. Talking to Brandon earlier today, we had a couple radio shows over in France that had gotten in touch with us about playing some songs. We've gotten picked as the album of the week in both Berlin. There's a radio station there that picked us up and had us as the album of the week. And then there's another radio station over in the UK that had us as the album of the week. So just really, I guess, happy and pleased that people are kind of picking up on the record and seem to be enjoying it. And then again, too, things like what you're doing today, Mark, that really kind of makes a huge difference for us, just trying to be an independent rock and roll band, trying to get the word out. You are helping us so much, I can't even tell you. So, thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. And guys, I know you got merch. You've obviously got CDs. Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff for people to find out there. How can people best find Rare Birds?
We should give a shout out to Mare, who kind of handles all of our merch. And if you came to one of our shows, it's pretty amazing. She's got like this whole setup, so it makes us look a lot better, a lot more professional and polished than maybe we should. But the cool thing about that, we have a bunch of different ideas and things that we're bringing online. Hopefully we'll have vinyl records coming online, hopefully later this year. Got some cool things that Mare and Brandon have been working on that we need to send you a couple of those. I know we have a T-shirt coming your way, but we've also got some cool different little items that you can kind of pick up that have Rare Birds on them, and we'd love to maybe push those as well.
So check it out. I know you're on Bandcamp and all the usual socials, so we want people to check out Rare Birds. ATL, of course, stands for Atlanta, and that's the home base for Rare Birds. And I've been a fan since before with Andrew at 6875 and going forward with Brandon and your crew, and I wish you nothing but the best. It's great music, and we want to spread the word and have people love it.
Mark, man, thank you so much.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
For Andrew Cylar and Brandon Neal, I'm Mark Skaar. This is a Skaar Kaard, the new classic rock that rocks on 103.7 The Fox.